student. I was actually a physics major at Georgia Tech. I graduated in 2018. I'm a mechanical engineering PhD student now at Stanford University, and I'll graduate eventually. And I'm from Douglasville, Georgia.
Hey, my name is Mahdi Al-Husseini. I also, like Josh, did my undergraduate at Georgia Tech. I studied biomedical engineering and later did my master's degree also at Tech in computer science with a focus in artificial intelligence. And I'm currently a student at Purdue doing my master's degree in electrical engineering. So Josh and I have been working together on different technical projects for a long time. We went to the same high school, we went to the same university. We were actually first year roommates. And so we've always kind of been builders and tinkerers and always looking for ways to improve things. And this is actually Aura, the company that we entered the BMC with, is actually our second company. Our first company was another aviation safety company. So the exact same industry. And Josh and I were the co-founders on that. We started in 2018. That was our first real venture into the entrepreneurship world. And that company ended up getting acquired and had a great story there and all ended well. But we're never ones to stop moving.
First thing that we want to do is make sure we secure our intellectual property. So the cash money, along with free credits from the Ice Miller lawyer firm, definitely will help us get along in that respect. But we also have lots of miscellaneous fees associated with forming the business. Hardware for testing, things like that.
Yeah, I can add a little bit to that too. I mean, it's the hardware for testing. It's more fun than it sounds. I mean, for us, we develop products for use in aircraft, and so a big part of that prize funding will actually go to flying aircraft legitimately. I mean, there's no better way to test what we do than actually put it in an aircraft and fly it and see how it responds. And so we hope to use some of the money to actually fly Cessnas around, regardless of the location, just to continue to validate our product.
We want to focus more on something more commercial, such as Mahdi mentioned, the Cessna. So we'll have to develop hardware, train models that will be compatible with a wide variety of Cessna configurations that might actually be pretty attractive to potential flight schools who could use the device for training purposes.
One other thing that we're working on that's pretty exciting is trying to establish a research agreement actually with an Army lab. So the United States Army Aeromedical Research Laboratory at Fort Rucker, Alabama is responsible, or at least partially responsible, for allowing something called AWRs, which are airworthiness releases. And they're basically certificates that say this piece of equipment has been determined safe to fly on our aircraft. And so getting that piece of paper is kind of a big deal, especially in acquisitions. And so we've already begun to have those conversations to see if we can establish that research agreement in order to get the necessary AWRs to continue testing. And so that's on the horizon as well. You know, you always hear the stories about people putting in 60 to 80 hours per week on their business, and then doing that on top of actually being, in Josh's case, a PhD student, you know, or in my case, a full-time active duty soldier. It's tough. It's tough. You really have to, your intentions have to be right. I mean, there's a lot of points that Josh and I can point out in this company and previous companies where it felt like everything was going to fall apart, or, you know, this obstacle was just too crazy to surmount. And that can be tough. That can be tough when you have a bunch of competing requirements and competing priorities. But again, you know, at the end of the day, it's such a neat experience being able to bring something into the world, and certainly starting a business helps with that, and that makes it all worth it. And so there's a lot of hardship. There's a lot of late nights, but it's worth it. It's totally worth it. I mean, looking back, I would change nothing. I guess one of the big things that I would recommend, and I see this a lot, especially in, you know, as folks start out being entrepreneurs, ask yourself why. Like, really dig into what that means. It's very easy for me to say something like that, but this is what I mean. I think a lot of folks have this idea that, hey, they want to be an entrepreneur and they'll figure out what they want to be an entrepreneur of later. But the reality is, think about it in reverse. Think of entrepreneurship as really a tool in which to make some kind of positive impact, or and it, it doesn't have to be, change the world, right? It doesn't have to be save lives, which is, what we try to do with aviation safety. But at the same time, really find the reason behind why you're starting that company. Really try to find a vision or a mission or something that will compel you to keep going when things get tough. The entrepreneurship road, regardless how long you've done it, what you're doing, it's very rocky, right? It's not a straight, flat road. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and really having an understanding of why you're doing everything you're doing. Not only will that help you source a better problem to solve, but it'll also help you develop a product that customers actually want to use. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. One more, I want to kind of harp on intellectual property. I don't think it's something that gets discussed, but, I always encourage student entrepreneurs, as they're coming up with, new products, or whatever the case might be, not only to do thorough literature reviews and patent searches to really determine if what they're building and putting their efforts in doesn't exist. Because, everybody's run into the situation of building something that, might already be around or might be a slightly different embodiment of what they're building. And that's always kind of a disappointment. So I always encourage folks to kind of look into what exists already before jumping the fray and starting to build prototypes. It's a really, really, really cool process. I mean, it's hard work. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be disappointments. Competitions are going to come through for you. You won't get this funding. This investor won't like what you're doing. It is always incredibly difficult to start something new and have that thing that's new be meaningful and have traction and the resources it needs to succeed. I mean, it's a difficult thing to do, but have fun with it. Enjoy it. Continue to learn. One of the things that I think Josh and I started doing maybe in the midway point of our first company is just kind of realize that, hey, like, even if this doesn't work out, it's not a big deal. We've learned so much from the experience itself. I know it's corny to say it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, but that's 100% true. I mean, the reality is it's not an end all be all, right? You may have an idea and that idea might fall through for some reason. But hey, you learned a lot in the process, whether that be about starting the business or about actually developing the product or a service. And so keep that in mind. Have fun with it. Continually learn on the job. Don't see it as the end all be all. Give it your all nonetheless. And I think you'll be pretty happy where you stand at the end of the day.